Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Mike Mathuke and this is my programming series. So today we're going to be looking at break and continue, where break is a keyword that allows us to exit a loop and continue allows us to skip a certain iteration of the loop. So I won't explain much. We'll dive right into the code. As usual, we do it with Python and C++. So we'll start off with C++. So let's look at this. So I'll start off with hashtag include vector. So we are able to access the vector class so that we can have this array of integers. Let's call it R. And then I'll have it just be a list of integers like so, 0 up to 10. And then, so let's say we want a loop where we can give, let's say, the square of each of the numbers in our loop, right? So so that will look something like for I in int I equals 0, I less than array.size, then I plus plus. Then of course you want to modify. So let's say array at I is equals to array at I times array at I. So that's what we mean by squaring a number. It's basically multiplying the number by itself, right? So at the end of this we get our result. So I'll just create another loop here that allows us to view what we've done, right? So array at I, right? So this one prints for us and this one does whatever operation you're doing. So the result will be something like this, 0, 1, 4, 9 up to 100 now, which is 10 times 10. So let's say, for example, you're told only give a square for the first 5 numbers, for example. So in that case, we'll need to be checking every time, are we in the 5th number, right? If so if I is equals to 4, right? So remember the 5th number will be, this is index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, index 4, index 5, right? But the 5th number is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So for the 4th index will be the 5th number, right? Because you're starting from index 0. So if I is equals to 4, then we want to break. Basically, you're saying we only want to do, sorry, this should be done after the fact, not before, because we want to square even the 5th number, right? So if we have reached the 5th number, then break out of the loop, right? So if I run this, we'll see that the result changes a little bit, so that we get the square of the first 5 numbers up to 4, which is 16. But then from there on, we have all the numbers retaining their original state. So what if you wanted to? What if the question was square every number except the 5th number of the array? So in that case, we just want to skip the value at index 4, or rather the 5th value, right? So in that case, we would use continue. And this time we'll need to have this continue before because at this stage we do not want to execute the power of, sorry, the square of that value before we skip it, right? We want to execute it only if we're not skipping it, right? So we have to put this before. We want to continue before we even try to square the value. So if we try to run this, now we'll see that the 4th number, which is the 5th number, which is 4, will still remain its normal value while the rest are squared, right? So that's the basic functionality of break and continue. It's a very simple concept. So let's look at this in Python. So in Python, the concept remains the same. So here we'll have our list, right? Let's say R, which is our list of integers, and then we'll initialize it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we'll use the concept we've used in C++, where we want to provide the square of the numbers in our list, right? So for I in range of array length of array, right? Then we'll need to provide the square. So array at I is equals to array at I times array at I, right? And then at the end of this, we'll just print out the values again for I in range length of array. We need to print I, right? In this case, actually in Python, we can just print the array directly, since it will be able to print all the values as is. So we can just print array directly. Now, in this case, so we can see what our result is we have a square of each of the numbers. So 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 3 times 3, and so on and so forth, right? So so now, in terms of using break and continue, so let's say, for example, you are told only do the squaring of numbers for the first 5 numbers, for example, right? So in that case, you would want, if we have reached the 5th number, which is basically index 4, right? Because remember here we are starting from index 0 all the way up to 10. So if 0 is index 0, 1 is index 1, and so on and so forth, then the 5th number will be at index 4, right? So here we'll have, if I is equals to 4, then we'll break. Remember here we are doing it after we've squared, because we're saying when we've reached the 5th number, we must square the first 5 numbers must be squared, right? So we square the number before we check whether we've reached the 5th one, right? So once we reach the 5th one, we break, and then we now print our array and see what the result is. Just a second. Need to run that again. Yeah. So here you can see the result is we have squared the first 5 numbers and the rest remain the same, right? Leading to what we had expected. So what if you are told square all the numbers except the 5th number, right? So that means we need to skip the 5th number. So in that case, we'll need to use continue. And in this case also, if you want to continue after the 5th number, then that means we must not allow this squaring to happen, which means this will come before the squaring takes place. So if you run this, now we'll see that everything is squared except for the 5th number. Here we have 4, which is our 5th number, and then that results into this result, right? So that is the basics of our continue and break. It's fairly simple, but it's very powerful. It can be used very easily in your code. Of course, this is a simple example that we've used today, but as you're using your code, you can always find better examples to use it. Even when you have bigger projects, you can still use this break and continue so that you can ensure you have easy to maintain code as well as simple and direct code, right? So I hope you've enjoyed this lesson, and I hope to see you next time. Cheers.